Hey, folks, and welcome to Drinking Alone with Friends, a podcast where three friends drink alone together. My name's Chris.
What up, it's Tud.
And I'm Obert.
And it's the most magical day of the year, folks.
Bump, 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 bump.
I don't think that's the right...
Oh,
wait, is it?
It is for, like, Monday night.
Oh, I guess so, yeah. I thought he was going with, like, the CSI music. Bum, bum.
Bump, bump.
But
That's
no,
right.
football is back, as you could tell by Obert's mouth music.
Yeah.
Okay, can somebody else do it? Can we do somebody else do the mouth music?
Bum,
You know,
bum,
the
bum,
song?
bum, 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 bum.
Okay, yeah, that's close enough.
Yeah.
But it's a happy day. It was not only Steak Sunday, but it was Football Sunday for the first Sunday in many, many Sundays, and it was a good Sunday.
Are we
And
talking about this?
a real throwback to season one.
Season 1, episode 1.
Yeah, as
of
we
old
talk about this on
sports
Sunday,
news.
and then they're going to listen to it on Thursday and be like, huh.
Oh, they'll know. They know by now that we record on Sunday and we report old news. You know,
Yeah.
it's our foundation of this podcast.
Tune in 4 days in the past.
Yeah, I guess so. Hear all about the Colts' heartbreaking loss
They suck.
Yes.
and other stuff.
They couldn't even keep their quarterback. He just
No,
wanted,
but we-
he just wanted
But
to go
we
home.
played well. We played well. I will say that. Adam Vinatieri, I have a sneaking suspicion, was also re-signed by the Patriots. But I don't know. I can't prove that because it's just me, but I'm fairly certain because he threw the game for us today.
Well, it would be very consistent with the weekend where they just sign everybody.
I guess that's true.
I didn't watch any football, so I can't contribute to this conversation.
That's
So,
true.
You guys
Obert
keep it going.
was like, Obert kind of like was like, "Hey, I'm still here" in our text thread today.
I alive.
I did. I
I'm
didn't
not
fall
dead.
off mountain.
Yeah. I spent the weekend deep off cell service, aka 30 minutes from my house.
It's amazing how close incommunicado is for you up in
Yeah.
Montana.
I know. Yeah, I was at a wedding weekend away, and Friday night, Saturday night, all day today. Was like, hopefully we're still recording a podcast tonight, because haven't been able to get in touch with them, but it worked out. I got home.
Yeah.
We're here. It was a great wedding up at Tally Lake. Google it. Like, I don't know. If this was in Connecticut, this is what I was telling everybody all weekend. If this was in Connecticut, it would have been like probably 25 motorboats on this lake throughout the weekend. I saw one all weekend long. And
Interesting.
somebody caught like a 30-inch pike. It was great. It was like,
It's a very large pike.
it was a big pike, a big lake. It's like 450 feet deep. I didn't get to the bottom.
So it's very
I
shallow.
didn't verify it, but yeah. But no, we were out there. We were rafting, we were kayaking, canoeing, every kind of non-motorized boat activity you could do. We did it. So we had a good time.
I mean, I can't confirm. I did Google. It's a very, very pretty looking lake.
yeah, it was a great spot. And no cell
Yeah.
service, but sometimes that's kind of a good thing when you're just wanting to hang out with some friends and just like get away from it all.
Well, that's why there was no boats there, because nobody goes there because there's no cell service.
I think that might be it. Like, what's the point of going boating if you can't live Instagram live catching your big pike? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I spent my opening day of football season a little differently than you guys, but it sounds like we each managed to enjoy it in our own way, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And Ted, you went to UConn football game this weekend too, right?
I did indeed. I went with a few Connecticut friends to a UConn football game and watched them lose by 4 points.
But it was a close game.
It was a close game.
1-1.
Had to stay there all the way to the end, so that was good.
So because this is a drinking podcast, I have to ask what kind of drinking was going on at this UConn game, tailgate wise.
No, we were all sober.
No, like, did you guys play any games?
No, we were all sober.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. What do you mean? What does sober mean? I'm not sure.
No,
we
comprende.
just we did the normal thing. We had bago, and I think somebody had a baseball, and somebody had a football, and somebody had a frisbee, and
And then you played Battle of the Sports while you all threw balls at each other, and whoever hit the hardest won. Is that how that works?
we played dodgeball.
Yeah,
with
that's awesome.
Dodge the baseball, dodge the softball, dodge the frisbee, and dodge the football.
And then you get the cornhole bag in the nuts, and then you then you lose.
Exactly. After doing all that, you still lose.
No.
Sounds like a terrible game.
Yeah, right? For me, you know what? The one thing that I miss, and one thing we're going to have to bring on this podcast soon, is some Oktoberfest beers. And maybe I've said this before on the show. I don't listen to it. I just record it. But no, UConn football season is always the start for me of Oktoberfest season. And so now without going to football games, I'm like, I don't know when to start drinking Oktoberfest.
Well,
have you had an Oktoberfest yet?
I have not, and I'm getting ready for one. You know, I mean, I'm so ready for an Oktoberfest that maybe we should just start drinking right now, just so I can quench my thirst with something else.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, so you have an Oktoberfest, but no, clearly not.
Maybe we should do that for a future episode.
Oktoberfest-a-palooza.
Oktoberfest-a-palooza.
There we go.
Coming to you in October.
As that famous party in Munich is called, Oktoberfest-a-palooza.
So starting that way, I'm just going to transition into drinking my beer,
which is an Oktoberfest-a-palooza.
It is not an Oktoberfest-a-palooza.
Ah, damn!
It is, in fact, a raspberry wheat ale.
Ooh, that's
nice.
Definitely not Oktoberfesty at all.
Yeah,
not at all.
Not even close.
Not in the slightest.
So we went to a brewery on Friday called Breakaway Brew House in Bolton, Connecticut. It is this little brewery that's based out of this guy's garage. So basically, you park in this guy's driveway, you walk into his carport that he has set up in his driveway, and you walk up to the window that is on the front of his garage, and you order beer through the garage window. And then
that's awesome.
Yeah, and it gives you beer through the window.
No way.
Yeah, and he only accepts cash and Venmo, so I had to pay him via Venmo, and I decided to bring some beer home. So this beer is called the new one, number 17. It is a raspberry wheat ale.
Such a good name. So is this like? I'm pretty sure this is an illegal brewery, by the way.
He has all the same permits that all the big breweries have. He's actively looking to open up a brewery in Bolton as well. But for the time being, it's operated separately out of his garage.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
So do they have like little tables outside you sat at?
Yep, little tables outside, some rocking chairs. There was a stereo outside playing the local radio. It was interesting. It was lit with like the string lights, so there's no like actual lighting. It's just kind of plugged in. That's
cool. I wish. Did you happen to get a picture?
I took some pictures. Yeah.
Cool. I want you to post that on the Instagram because I really want to see what this place is like because it sounds pretty cool.
Okay, will do. So this is brewed with obviously as it said raspberries, Connecticut grown raspberries though. So it's a very seasonal beer, and seeing as raspberry season in Connecticut ended this week, I think is what he was telling me. This is the last time he will brew this for the season.
Raspberry season, blueberry season, raspberry season, blueberry season.
Is that like a Bugs Bunny, Donald Duck?
Yeah, it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
Imagine me with very long ears saying that.
Oh, okay. And it's also blueberry season? Yeah.
Right.
So this is a very good beer. You can definitely taste the fresh raspberries as you drink it. It doesn't taste, a lot of the listeners will know wheat ales as being more like a Blue Moon or a Shock Top. But this is obviously with raspberries, so instead of getting that orangey flavor, you're getting that raspberry flavor. But Mark, the guy who runs the brewery, was telling me that he puts in the raspberry juice at 3 different stages of the brewing process. And despite that, as you can see, the beer is not red in color as you would think if there was that much raspberry in it.
Looks like a wheat ale. It doesn't look at all raspberry colored.
But yeah, so it's very good. The raspberry flavor is delicious. The smell on the nose is fantastic. And obviously it's a wheat ale, so it's easy to drink. I'd probably give this beer a 4.0.
Wow. I mean,
it's solid.
I mean, you go to a lot of breweries, and for you to go to a place, try a beer, and then come home with a growler of it, like I know that's going to be a beer worth drinking.
Oh, definitely. It's this one. I was in all honesty too. I was a little bit influenced because it's just this small little brewery out in the middle of nowhere, and I thought it was really cool there. So we actually came home with just a little bit more than one growler.
What is it? I'm afraid to ask about that New Beer's resolution.
Yeah, we may have bought 4 growlers while we were there.
Nice.
4 growlers. Okay. I was going to say,
That's
did
cool.
you get like a growler and then like a fill up to go cup or something like that? But
Yeah.
No, 4 growlers. So they had 3 beers on tap. They had a Confounded, which was an all Connecticut style IPA. They had a pale ale.
Very cool name. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
They had a pale ale, and then they had this new one, number 17.
So what growler did you get 2 of?
That's what I also want to know. That yeah.
I got 2 of this raspberry wheat ale.
Okay, all right.
So this is a little bit different. This brewery is a little bit different than what you would expect. When you show up, he gives you samples of all the beers that he has on tap. Every week he only has 3 beers, and once he sells out of the beer that week, he closes. So next week there'll be 3 new beers on tap from this brewery.
Will they be the same? Like, obviously there'll be a new one, number 18, but will the other 2 stay the same?
No. There'll be next week. He'll have 3 entirely new beers.
Wow.
He says
Nice.
he sells out a beer every week.
So he's always brewing. That's really cool.
Yeah,
That's sweet.
he runs a 1-barrel system out of his garage. The back of his garage is insulated and cooled, so that way he can keep his kegs fresh throughout the process. So he can constantly brew, and he does everything right there in house. So he's grinding the grain. The water comes from his well. The hops are, especially for the Confounded, are local grown, but other than that, he uses fresh hops and yeast. I don't know what yeast he uses, but I'm assuming it's just whatever yeast the beer is doing. But he was very proud to point out that he does not use any artificial ingredients, and everything is done, by the book, quote unquote, by the book of beer brewing. That way, his beer is as fresh as humanly possible when you consume it.
Oh, that's really
sweet.
awesome.
Now, for me, the go-to raspberry beer I've had a few times is the raspberry UFO. Does this taste like that at all?
It's more filtered than the UFO.
Because the raspberry UFO, like we were talking about, that's a raspberry colored beer, whereas this is just very much a typical wheat ale, golden colored.
Right. Yeah, this is definitely different than that. I would say that the flavor of the raspberry UFO is probably more raspberry-ish, but it's, this is more beer with raspberry, whereas raspberry UFO I would consider more raspberry with beer.
I know exactly what you mean. That's cool. Yeah.
Right.
Well, it sounds like it earned that 4, and cheers to Mark if he's listening.
Hashtag fun fact: Mark and his wife's name is Cindy. So I found it really weird.
You felt like you were back at home.
Yeah, I was just like, well, this is kind of weird.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, Chris, why don't you share your beer with us now?
Okay. Yeah, I'll go next. So, went to Asheville again, and it was awesome, as always. But we stopped at this brewery that we didn't stop at on Todd's Bachelor Party, nor had I stopped at before. And now that I've been there, I wish we had. It's called Brewry Brewing, which is BHRAMARI, if anybody wants to go visit. And kind of like what Todd was just saying, they had this beer that was so good, I had to buy 4-packs of it. And that was not just me that thought that, it was also Dana. So we both had this beer and was like, wow, and bought a couple 4-packs of it to bring home. So let's get into this thing.
So what is the name of the beer from Brewry?
So this beer is called Skull Kill the Bloodbringer.
Whoa.
Pretty intense.
Okay.
And it's got a really good head going, as you can see from my really awful pour.
Wait, so what kind of beer are we drinking today?
It's a Berliner Weiss, and it's brewed with raspberry, lemongrass, and vanilla.
Oh, I feel like I didn't get the memo here.
Another raspberry beer.
Yeah, right. Obert, I hope you have.
Unlike Todd's, yours looks like it's blood red.
Right. Yeah. No. Definitely a deep. I mean, it looks like crap over the webcam, but it definitely has like a deep, like purplish red. Even the head has like a red hint to it. Smell is very, very raspberry-y. Not like you don't get like that typical sour smell. I guess if you were going to look for, if you were asking, I mean, I get raspberry on the nose.
But yeah, it's not a raspberry sour. It's like a raspberry Berliner Weiss.
Right. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. And I mean, it's supposed to be like a sour, kind of like a sour-ish ale, but because that's what Berliner Weisses are. But for the most part, it's pretty mild. It's got a pretty awesome can art too. It's got one of those, I bet you, friend of the pod / co-host Jenna would like it. It's got like a skull head thing on it with a snake going through it. Pretty cool.
A skull head thing.
Like a Mexican Day of the Dead.
There you go. That's the one.
That kind of art style.
Right. You'll of course see it on the Instagram, hopefully. But pretty cool art style. But here it is, fully poured, nice and red. Let's give this thing a go.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Obert, I feel like you really should have paid attention to the memo when we send out things like this. Kind of like Chris didn't pay attention last week when we drank tequila.
I know, right?
So this beer is pretty fantastic. I had it at the brewery, but I mean, you get a very strong raspberry flavor. I don't get as much lemongrass as it says, but you definitely get some vanilla to sweeten up some of the bitterness, some of the sourness. You still get a hint of sour, but not too terrible. Like I had mentioned, Dana was a big fan of this beer as well. So if you don't like sours, I would definitely give this a try because Dana doesn't like sours and she loved the beer. So really awesome, easy drinker. It's only 4.9% alcohol, which I say only as if it's nothing, but it is what it is. But really solid Berliner Weiss. And I mean, I can't say enough about the brewery in general. Like we went there and I had 2 flights and Dana had a couple pours, I think. And all their beers like really solid and experimental as well. They had a beer with Skittles brewed into it, which was very interesting.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't my favorite, but they tried it. And
what was it called?
Was like, I'd have to go and check on tap.
Taste the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
It did taste like you were taking a handful of Skittles and shoving them all into your mouth. So kudos to them.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I thought when we went to Asheville, every brewery we went to, from an aesthetic standpoint, had a lot of really cool stuff going on. Did this place have like a really good, cool look to it? There was like some good outdoor seating. What was the deal?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, it did have some really awesome outdoor seating, some outdoor, like I say, play space. Like they had cornhole and things of that nature.
Oh, that's cool.
The inside was pretty cool. It's very, very big, a lot larger than I thought it was going to be. But it was pretty like a really low key, mellow vibe. Definitely lower lighting, which I kind of like sometimes. You get like the dimmer lighting, so it kind of
more intimate feeling.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And the outdoor space is awesome. We sat inside, but it was awesome. The beer tender that we had
the beer. Really... Did you just call them a beer tender?
I did, yeah. Why not?
Okay.
But they had really good knowledge, and he was really cool. Talked to us about the beer. I asked them what Brahmi stood for, and apparently back in ancient times, that was the goddess of bees, I guess, something along those lines. So I assumed that they had some beers on there with honey, but I didn't see any. But their logo has bees on it and things of that nature.
Are they a meadery?
No, they're not. They didn't have mead, but I was surprised to hear that they didn't have mead or more honey incorporated in their beers after knowing that they're named after the goddess of bees. But I mean, really cool spot. If like when you all come back and we go to Asheville again, I assume on our
that'll happen
on our world tour or whatever. Then we definitely have to go here because
I'm coming in a few weeks.
Yeah, you are. You are coming in a few weeks. I mean, Dana did say, she's like, maybe you guys can go to Asheville. And I was like, that's a good idea. And she's like, maybe not. I'm like, well, we'll see.
It sounds like a good day to me. I mean, I am the guest, right? Like, that's like a thing.
It's true. But really, really awesome place. Good beer all around. I didn't have one that I was disappointed in. So this one I gave a 4.25. One of the better sours, one of the better Berliner Weisses that I've had. And I had a couple other sours there that were also like I would say on par with like Southern Grist and things of that nature as far as suited.
They make some good beers.
Yeah, as far as fruited sours go. So but really good beer. So pretty excited that I have, I think, 7 more now to drink.
Now, what do you think that the Untapped universe rated this beer?
I don't know. I gave it a 4.25. I think that's generous. I'm going to say a 4.01.
3.87.
Huh. Okay. I'm very surprised by that. Yeah. This is a very good beer. I don't know. I'm surprised it's that low.
Well,
Chris, I'm not gonna lie. I trust your opinion way more than the rest of the collective beer universe. So
that is
there
true.
We go. There we go.
I think you are more right than everybody else. So.
I mean, I've had almost 2,200 beers, so
that's a lot of beers.
It only has 493 check-ins, so it's not like there's a lot of people who have rated it. So if there was 2,000 check-ins, maybe it'd be closer to 4 or closer to 4.25.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, awesome beer, awesome brewery. Check them out, or come visit me, or come to our world tour when we go to Asheville.
Yeah,
I'm now expecting you to save me a can for a couple weeks from now.
Listen, Tud. Listen, that's it's not in my contract, so
we're still working on renegotiations. But,
yeah, my money's no longer guaranteed, so I'm gonna throw a fit.
Are you gonna start to post hype videos online and post conversations of us talking to each other on the phone?
Exactly. Yeah. This is what they tell about me. My family comes first. Blah blah blah.
Hashtag DAWF podcast. Release me.
But I mean, really, the Patriots they colluded on that. There's no way about it. But anyways,
start to fight people. Just take swings at us.
Anyways, I think Obert wants to drink.
I do want to drink. And
I feel like we should continue to talk though, just to stop him from drinking.
The raspberry beer, I did get the memo about red drinks, which maybe Tug didn't get the memo.
So there's 2 red drinks and 2 raspberry beers.
Not what you would expect.
Yeah.
And so for this drink, we're actually going to crack back open Obert's liquor cabinet towards the end of this review here. But
okay, you just let me know.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll make it abundantly clear. And I've hinted at this drink for a couple weeks now, but it's finally ready. This is my barrel-aged Negroni that I've been working on tirelessly for about 5 weeks now. It's finally come together, and this is a drink I'm very proud of. I've brought Negronis on the show before.
I was going to say, that's a deep throwback, I think.
Yeah, this is season 2. We take the drinks we made in season 1, we make them a little bit better. So
make them better. Okay.
Yeah. So for those of you who've never had a Negroni before, it's a classic cocktail. It's made with 1 part vermouth, 1 part gin, and 1 part Campari. That's the classic recipe. And one thing I love about this drink is there's so many different variations on it, and everybody has their own little spin they put on it, and everybody likes to just make the Negroni their own. So that's a little bit of what inspired me to take this drink. I have a 1 liter barrel, just a little tiny guy. It's been sitting on my counter aging for a little bit. And so I decided to make my own version of the Negroni. I tried to stick pretty close to the faithful original version. I used the White Lady gin out of Montgomery Distillery. It's a great base for this drink, and it really comes through strongly. Of course, you have to stick with the original Campari. That's one of the few ingredients that's hard to substitute out. But for the vermouth, as opposed to using the red vermouth, I used a blend of a couple different vermouths, and that's a little tease for when we open up that liquor cabinet a little bit from now. And I topped it off with a couple of ounces of orange bitters. So I took all that, I let that sit on the counter for a couple weeks, getting that barrel, that nice oaky goodness in there. And I'll tell you what, this drink does not disappoint. I think those flavors really blended quite well. And one thing that's amazing about this drink is, for those of you who've maybe just tried it once, or even for those of you who are Negroni fans, it's a very bitter drink when you start drinking it. But one thing, the amazing thing about it is, as the ice melts, the drink, and as the drink gets more watery, the sweetness of the vermouth really shines through, and that bitterness of the Campari kind of subsides. So it's one drink that, from the beginning to the end, it has a lot of very subtle flavor changes, and it's a totally different drink when you're done with it. So that's one of the reasons I love this drink.
Yeah, I am not a Negroni fan. I've tried it on your recommendation a few different times, and I can't get over the bitterness of the Campari. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I've never had a Negroni, but it sounds like I would enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I'm glad I did a good job talking it up because
Yeah.
A maybe less flattering and more realistic description would be it tastes a little bit like cough syrup. Not gonna lie, it's definitely
That
cough
it
syrup
does.
flavor.
Okay, so that's a little less appealing to me.
I don't know how you feel about orange Dayquil, but
Like, just go grab the Robitussin out of the counter or out of the medicine
Oh,
cabinet.
Robitussin's not orange.
Just chug that.
Go grab the Tussin. That's a different episode. That's a Patreon exclusive. We all drink. We all drink.
we drink cough
Robitussin.
medicine.
I like how you called it Tussin, because anytime I think of Robitussin, I think of Chris Rock's joke. Just put some Tussin on it. Leg broke? Just pour some Tussin on it.
But I guess returning to the drink here, my advice, and it's definitely not a drink for everybody. And I was not a fan the first couple times I ordered one, but like I said, an acquired taste. And I think once you get that taste for it, it's a drink you'll like for the rest of your life. So again, if you haven't had it, maybe if you've had one and you weren't a fan, just keep ordering them till you like them. Let that Stockholm syndrome take you.
I mean, if you think back to your first beer, like no one drinks a first beer and was like, "Oh man, this is amazing." And now I drink beer almost every day.
Yeah.
So,
Almost in quotes.
Almost in air quotes. Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. Now, I'm sorry, you said it, but what liquor did you put into the barrel again?
Which gin?
Yeah.
So it's a gin, and I use the White Lady gin from Montgomery Distillery.
You did say that, yes.
That's out of Missoula. It's a very good gin.
Why is your... I think I just answered my own question, but I'm just going to ask it anyways.
Yeah, please.
Why is your drink red?
Oh, very good question.
That's a good question,
Todd. And that color mostly comes from the Campari, because Campari is a pretty bright orange color, and when you mix that in with the vermouth and the gin, it gives it this nice red hue, for sure.
Nice.
And I know I teased the liquor cabinet. Maybe, okay, we can officially open it now. There we go. So for this drink, I experimented a lot with a couple different vermouths. And vermouth is something that, fun fact, you should not keep in your liquor cabinet once it's open.
Where should you put it?
You should put it in your refrigerator.
Yeah.
So like we talked about last week with aperitifs and the Kikina, this vermouth is a fortified wine. So I looked into that a little bit more to bring on to today's show. And what that basically means is they take wine and they add different botanicals and spices, like different herbs and roots and that kind of thing. And they also add, I believe, a little bit of just straight liquor, which I assume means just straight up alcohol, which might be like grappa or something, just like grape alcohol. So they have this blend all together, and that's what makes a vermouth. And so over the years, there have been two major types of vermouth that have come out, and that's sweet and dry. And the sweet is red, and the dry is white. So
now, the vermouth, is that what they make martinis with?
Yes, so that is what they make martinis with. And there is the sweet vermouth and the dry vermouth. And I combined the two of those as opposed to using just the sweet. I did equal parts sweet and dry and equal parts of the white sweet vermouth, which is, I think it's called Bianco. I think it's Bianco. And so I did a taste test at home. I mixed a couple of these variations up, got the right gin and vermouth ratios to make this at home.
So why do you have to put it in the so I don't put my Kikina in the fridge. Why do you have to put yours in the fridge?
Oh, good question. Yeah, so because vermouth will go bad, because the alcohol content isn't high enough to keep it shelf stable, you have to refrigerate it.
Does it say this on the bottle, or is it something you're supposed to know? Because now I'm starting to think I probably should have put the Kikina in the fridge.
I don't think it would hurt to put the Kikina in the fridge. I think the Kikina as an aperitif, you probably want to keep those, to preserve those flavors. It's definitely something that I think you need to keep in the fridge. Worth looking into. That's worth Google for sure.
Okay. I never even thought about it. Now I'm going to be really upset if it has to go in the fridge because I don't want to keep a bottle of booze in my fridge.
Ted, can I ask you a personal question? How many bottles? How many beers are in your fridge right now?
Not many.
No,
just like two growlers.
What if we count your beer fridge in this?
We don't count that. That's a separate fridge.
Right.
Can we maybe keep the vermouth in the beer fridge, or is that not allowed? Sorry, the Kikina.
Well, then I'd have to make room for it.
Then it's a Kikina fridge.
Yeah, then it's a Kikina fridge.
Yeah, that's all. You're right. I shouldn't have even gone there. I don't know what I was thinking. But
so basically, vermouth, does it have a cork in the top?
No, it's just a cap screw on the top.
Okay, so the Kikina has a cork. So I'm wondering if it's cool like that.
Yeah.
And then I'm wondering if I could lay it on its side and put it in the wine fridge.
Ooh, that might not be a bad idea. Yeah, I didn't realize you had a beer fridge and a wine fridge.
The wine fridge is a #new addition. So
there you go.
Well, yeah, you go to Italy, you come back. What happens? If you're Ted, you need a wine fridge.
That's more Caitlin.
If you're Ted and Caitlin, well, I think that's part of the whole new marriage thing. Is it's like, well, I got the beer fridge, we got to get the wine fridge to even it out. Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
It's like marriage is all about compromises.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep on buying more fridges.
Yeah.
More compromises, more fridges. The marriage hashtag. So
yeah. So before I close this liquor cabinet, I just wanted to share my ratio, and I stuck with that same: a third Campari, a third gin, and a third vermouth. But that 1/3 that's vermouth, I split that up, and I did equal parts of the sweet, the dry, and the sweet white. So I did a third of each of those. And I think that tasted really good fresh. I didn't age different combinations, obviously, because I only have the one barrel. But if you're going to make a Negroni at home, or even if you're going to go out to a bar, I would ask for them to mix the 2 vermouths or the 3 if they have them. It made it a lot more complex of a drink, and I thought it added a little something to it. So with that, I'm going to close the liquor cabinet.
Wait. Before you close it.
Oh, sorry. Let me keep the door back open.
Leaving it open for a second. Do you have big plans for the rest of that gin?
I used most of it
all right.
in the barrel.
Okay.
And I've been doing some generous sampling of the barrel to make sure it was just right to bring on the pod. And it is. Okay. Fortunately, we've aged it enough, which I think I said it was like 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
Right.
Like I mentioned about the Huckleberry tequila, which I was infusing last week, I think you just got to keep tasting it. And this was my first barrel aged creation. I'll tell you what, I like it because even though it is a simple cocktail to make, having it pre-mixed and on my counter with a little tap in it, makes it very tempting. And it's it's a go-to for me now. I'm gonna keep barrel aging stuff.
Now, do you have to refrigerate this barrel too?
No, there's enough alcohol in the gin to make it shelf stable where you can leave it out at room temperature, and that's okay.
Huh.
Yeah.
So, fun fact: I did Google the Quinquina. It does need to be refrigerated.
Well, I mean, I'm glad that you found out,
right?
Because it's gonna make your drinks that much better with it.
Well, Caitlin, you heard it here first in this podcast. This is why there's a new fridge in our kitchen now.
Yeah.
Why do we have this delivery from Lowe's coming in? No, don't worry about it.
That's the Kikina fridge.
Yeah, we have a Kikina fridge. We're gonna call it just like a aperitif.
There
fridge.
you go. I like that.
There you go. Yeah, that's better.
All right, so I'm gonna close the door on this liquor cabinet segment. And
sounds like an intense liquor cabinet.
It's very intense.
I like to call it my liquor vault but who's counting?
Oh man! So, want to give a quick shout out to friend of the pod, Drew, who welcomed his daughter into the world. Avery was born September 3rd, which is pretty cool. Congratulations to the new parents. Hopefully, you're getting a ton of sleep, which you aren't. Hashtag I know. And so Drew did request that I bring in more parenting tips to the podcast as the tenured parent on the podcast.
As the only dad of the pod.
As the hashtag dad of the pod, yes. And here's one that you might not have to worry about right away because Avery right now is, immobile and, basically just a small thing that relies on you for every movement that it makes. But
AKA a baby.
I think
Is that what you call them?
I think I explained it pretty well.
Yeah.
But here's something that I've recently
parenting
come
advice:
into.
give your kids booze, they go to sleep, and you're fine.
I didn't say that. Tud said that. Just wait till he's hashtag
non-dad of the pod.
Not dad of the pod. Yeah, there you go. But here's a tidbit of advice for all parents and grandparents and anybody listening right now. When your son or daughter gets to, I don't know, I'll say anywhere between a year to 18.
18 months or
years?
18
Is it
years?
like
No, 18 years.
before they
18
move out
years.
of the house? Okay.
Right. Think very hard about what you buy them as for toys, okay? Because I will say, you buy this block set or this, we bought CJ recently, like play food, like little corns and apples and whatever. So think about picking it up multiple times a day for the rest of your life because it is a reality. We bought anything that CJ can dump. Well, he will dump now. So grandparents out there, think about it. If you wouldn't want to pick this up multiple times a day for the rest of your life, don't buy it for the grandchildren. And parents, think about it because I made the mistake. I bought him this stuff. And if you don't feel like picking it up multiple times a day for the rest of your life, don't buy it because you're going to. So there's my little...
So what you're saying is that we just buy them one toy and that's it.
Right. Well, no, not one toy.
A big toy.
But bigger
One
bigger
big toy.
toys, yes. Like
Big toy
a
that you
big
can't
stuffed
dump.
animal. Right.
Undumpable toys.
Like, you get one ball, child.
One ball, yes. But not like a bag of Jacks. I don't know why you'd buy a child Jacks, but hey, whatever. Because then you have to think about just imagine yourself picking up 125 food pieces 3 or 4 times a day until you die. Because that is the reality of it.
Because we all know CJ at 17 is going to be still playing with his plastic corn pieces. No, when you started this mini handle, I thought you were going to say, think carefully about what toys you want to get your kid because CJ got all this food and I think he's going to grow up and become a chef because he loves cooking all this food.
Nope.
Instead, your mini handle boiled down to basically 3-word advice. Don't buy Legos.
Essentially, yeah, that's what it boils down to. Yeah, anything with multiple pieces. Like Dana bought CJ this little box with puzzles in it, and I get what puzzles are supposed to do, but CJ's not there yet, so all he does is dump puzzles everywhere. And I'm like, why am I keep picking up puzzles? That doesn't make any sense.
But
Honestly, I thought your handle was going to be don't drink in Amazon based on your Snapchat story this week.
Too. Yeah.
No, that's definitely a factor as to why he has some of the stuff he has. But
Chris, that's the puzzle.
Puzzles, that's the puzzle. No, but there you go, Drew. There's a little bit of dad advice for you. Really think about what you buy your child because you'll be picking it up forever.
Perfect.
There you go. And you too. You guys too. Whenever.
Oh yeah.
If you guys decide to have kids every whatever, that's your.
How do you know Obert just doesn't have kids all over the world?
He might at this point.
I mean, you can't see him on the camera, but they're I keep them quiet in the back room. They're occupied. They're playing with Legos.
Yeah. One Lego for each kid.
Everybody gets the one Lego. You have to share Lego time. Yeah.
Oh man.
The Steelers suck.
What's the score now?
It is 33-3.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
But it's not.
Don't worry.
33-3.
The Patriots are only going to get better, so it's fine.
On this week's edition,
Yeah, it's almost like they got the best receiver in the NFL.
Old sports news. It's currently 33-3.
It's currently 33-3. Yeah, and they just signed Antonio Brown, which is only going to make them a better. If only they had a quarterback that can throw the deep ball. So
he looked pretty good throwing the deep ball tonight. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I mean, how many touchdowns did Josh Howard have? So
Josh Gordon?
Josh Gordon, yeah, not Josh Howard. Who the fuck? I know he has one at least, but
Can we talk about this article from mensjournal.com that Chris sent out to the group?
yeah,
It's the 10 coolest places in America to drink craft beer. I thought it was pretty cool.
By the way,
Yeah,
Philip Dorsett has a 58-yard touchdown.
No, I know, ex-Colt right there, Philip Dorsett. But anyways, yeah, no, I definitely. It was pretty neat, and it started off in my home state of North Carolina, which I thought was pretty awesome, and it makes me want to go there. The 5,506-foot Sky Bar at Beach Mountain Resort in Beach Mountain, North Carolina. It's a pretty sweet looking venue. That kind of what hooked me into the article, but there's a couple other places that just look like pretty cool spots to sit down and have a beer.
Yeah, we'll put this in the show notes, but the images of all of these are really cool places that you're like, I would love to just be sitting there having a beer.
Yeah, like sister of the pod, Kaylee, if you're listening, which you should be, there's a Mobcraft beer brewery and tap room in Milwaukee, which I know you live there, so you should go there. Looks pretty cool.
I feel like this article is a little bit biased, though.
I agree. As someone who lives out west, I think there's a lot of West Coast places on here. Maybe not West Coast, but Western places on here.
Yeah, I was going to say there's nothing anywhere remotely close for me to go on this list. And there's got to be cool drinking places in the Northeast. I mean, I've probably been to a lot of them, but
yeah, I texted you guys like, I was surprised that the Burp Castle and the Funkatorium, which I know you've been to both of those, Todd. I'm surprised that neither of those made this list because, I think the three of us have drank some pretty cool places. You especially, Todd, and those seem like pretty phenomenal places, especially.
Yeah, and I was a little bit shocked. Like, obviously New York City is the biggest city in the world. Like, McSwirly's didn't make the list, and it's by far one of the most unique places I've ever drank a beer. It's the oldest continually operating bar in America. That's probably wrong, but they're old. It's like the oldest continually operating bar, I think, in New York City.
Basically America.
Basically America. They only serve two beers, light and dark, and everything that goes up on the wall is permanently there. Like, they don't take anything down. So their walls are completely covered in pictures and things and dust. The floor is covered in sawdust. Up until the 70s, women weren't allowed in the building. It's a very unique place to drink.
Point, but okay.
No, but it's just like it just goes back to like how old this place is.
Right, I get it. Yeah.
I mean, they still have wishbones up on like the bar top from people before they went off to World War II, who they had like a chicken dinner before they shipped off, who never returned. The idea was that they're supposed to come take them down once they came back, and they're still up there.
Yeah. Wow.
It's that old of a place. I mean, there's pictures of like Abe Lincoln drinking in there. There's pictures of pretty much every president who's ever gone there. They have a picture of on the wall. But it's really cool. Probably one of the most unique places to drink in the world. I'm just surprised like places like that weren't on this list.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems pretty crazy. Now, here's a more important question. Do you think Abe Lincoln was a dark or a light guy?
I would say he's probably very much a dark guy.
You think so?
Well, with that beard, I can imagine the foam getting in. I could just.
No, that's true.
It completes the look.
The dude was like an undefeated wrestler of his time. I'm sure, like he was like a man's man. He was like, I'm all in on the dark.
I'm on the dark beer. Yeah. No, it's a good point though, because even Funkatorium, like you had mentioned, it's more mainstream and new, but like the beer and the tap house is like really, really cool. Like, now granted, these are the top 10 in the country or whatever. So,
well, that Men's Journal found, yeah,
right. Oh, very true, yeah.
And actually, so I do want to go through this list a little bit more, but I wanted to talk. You're talking about that place in New York. There's this place in Butte, Montana called the M&M Bar.
You mean Butte, Montana?
Butte, actually. That's how it's pronounced.
I think it's Butte.
Butte. but M&M
Montana
opened in 1890, and they were open 24/7 for well over 100 years.
Oh, holy crap!
As a bar?
As a bar. Because
do they serve M&Ms?
No, it was. I think they predate the candy. They were Sam Martin and William F. Mosby are the two original founders. So it was Martin and Mosby, M&M.
Okay.
Yeah, but Butte's a mining town, and miners work it's dark underground all the time, so they were whatever shift, so they would come up above ground, and it would be 8 a.m. But to them, they'd be just getting off work, so they needed someplace to drink. So that's where they would go to this M&M bar. And well, one thing that I think is really cool about this place is every time that the bar is sold, there's a ceremonial throwing away of the keys. So the old owner hands over the keys to the new owner, and the new owner promptly like flushes them down the toilet, or like throws them in a fire, or like ceremonially gets rid of the keys, because the door is never locked. It's open 24/7. And it was, I think, until 2012 was when they finally closed their doors. I think they're still open, but they're no longer a 24/7 establishment.
Well, that's kind of upsetting. Why are they not open 24/7 anymore?
I don't know that story. They probably just weren't getting enough customers at between the hours of 4 and 8 a.m. to justify being open.
Did Butte, Montana change their rules?
No. Butte's a pretty buck wild place.
But
it's like an open container place where you can just walk down the street with a beer. They have, after Boston, they have the second largest St. Patrick's Day parade.
Interesting.
Which is pretty wild for Montana.
I actually didn't know Boston had the biggest St. Patrick's Day parade, so that's a new one.
Yeah. And I know we wanted to talk about this list, but we found more interesting bars to talk about that weren't on the list.
I still think that you need to work on your pronunciation of that town's name.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I have it figured out. I'll tell you what, though, if you ever come to Montana, maybe keep that one in the back of your head.
Though they don't take kindly to that?
It's funny. I'm still learning how to pronounce stuff around here. It's just, every time you move to a new place, like where Chris lives, right? It's not Statesville, right?
Statesville.
Statesville.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mooresville.
Asheville.
You just got to learn the local
Asheville.
pronunciations.
Charlottesville.
Yeah.
That ain't right.
Charlotte, I think, is how it's pronounced.
No, isn't there Charlottesville? Isn't that like a thing? Like that's a place.
I think it is, but I don't know where it is. So
I'm pretty sure that's the name of the racetrack, isn't it?
No.
Charlottesville?
Charlotte Motor Speedway? Is that what you're talking about?
No, there's another racetrack.
The other racetrack. The other one.
Charlottesville.
It might, maybe. Hold on. Let's go to the Googs.
Charlottesville is a town in Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sister lived there.
Ah, see?
Yeah.
So why didn't you just help out this argument? Why didn't you just let it happen?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have an answer. I was sitting back and just waiting, letting that all play out. Yeah, Charlottesville's in Virginia.
But it's Charlottesville.
No, I think it's Seville, not Seville. I think in Virginia they say Ville. Virginia listeners, write in.
Right, yeah.
Is it Ville or Ville?
Obert's sister write in.
Yeah. No, she says Charlottesville.
Okay.
But she's a Yankee.
Well, she's a Yankee. She's a damn Yankee. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So with that, it's time for everybody's favorite segment, our 3 handles on our Frosty Mug of Wisdom, where we share with you life hacks, Amazon products, tips, tricks, etc. on how to make your life better. And to start off this week, I'm going to foist the mug on Todd, who's going to share some stuff with us.
Okay. So my handle this week is going to be smart plugs.
Okay.
We recently moved into a house, as everybody knows, right before we got married. So, during the summer, we bought a house, moved, got married, went on a honeymoon, did all that stuff all in 1 year. Fantastic. Oh, I also switched jobs too, so that's fantastic. But anyways, yeah. But anyways, one thing that has bugged me is that our living room light does not have a switch. It doesn't operate on a switch. So you had to always walk over to there and, twist the little thing at the top to turn on the light. Well, one day I said, screw that. And I know that these things called smart lights exist, or smart plugs exist, that operate via the Amazon Echo. So I went on Amazon and I bought an Amazon smart plug. Plugged it in. It's smart plugs made by Amazon, so it instantly synced with the Amazon Echo, and away we went. So all I do now is I go in the living room and I say, Alexa, turn on living room, and she beeps and the light turns on. So
and then what do you say when you want to turn it off? And can you say this really loudly and clearly into the microphone?
Yeah, Alexa, turn off living room.
Sorry, louder? I couldn't hear you.
No, it's fine. I can go as loud as you want because the light's already off in the room, so it's not going to turn off. I'm not in the living room.
I know, but our listeners might be.
Oh. Alexa, turn off living room.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go. Oh man, you're in the dark. It's funny, listeners.
Oh yeah, you should have saw your faces.
Oh man.
So
No, that's cool.
So that is my handle. Go buy smart plugs. There's a variety of different options on Amazon. I messed around with a few different options before I ended up with the Amazon one. In all actuality, if you really just want ease of use, the Amazon one's the way to go because there's no work to be done. You plug the damn thing in and
And it's not that much more expensive than like the generic ones.
Oh no, it is. You can buy generic ones for $4 for $25, or you can buy the Amazon one that's $1 for $20. But at the same time, the ease of use and not having to worry about like setting the damn thing up and trying to get it to work and being frustrated when it doesn't work, to me it was worth, getting the 1 versus the 4.
Yeah. And now like I know some of us have voice activated microwaves, but I would love to just like set up a blender with like my pina colada mix and rum and ice and then just like walk into the other room and be like, "Oh, the party's starting." Like, "Amazon or Alexa, make me a pina colada," and then just have that start my blender. That'd be sweet.
I feel like there's a Michael Scott joke in here somewhere where he like wakes up to make bacon and burns himself and
burns his foot, grills his foot. Nope. That's cool. I have the smart bulbs, but if I didn't, I could see the plug being pretty useful.
Now, what is a smart bulb?
It's a handle I've used before, but Philips Hue makes these.
Oh, that's right. They change colors and stuff, right?
Well, yeah, mine are just the white ones, but they're on a dimmer, so I can just shout at Alexa and have her turn my living room or bedroom lights on or off. So it's handy for when you're in bed and you're like, "Oh, I forgot to turn the lights off," and then you just yell at your Amazon device and it works out.
It's honestly, the Amazon device is perfect. That should be a handle.
We know we love to just promote Amazon products here. So
right. But I will hand off the mug to Chris.
All right. So my handle this week is a video game. It's actually a remaster of a video game, and that's Final Fantasy VIII. Have you guys played this before?
I have not.
I have not. It's like the one Final Fantasy I haven't played.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't think they made a Final Fantasy before 7. I thought 7 was the first one.
I mean, it might as well be, but there are a few. There are like 6 more before that. But Final Fantasy, I had never played before.
There might be more than 6 more before that. Just Tactics or otherwise.
I think Tactics is after 7 though.
0, -1.
Yeah. But anyways,
Infinity.
So 8, I started playing last night, and it's a lot of fun. The remastered version is much prettied up versus the PS1 version, of course. Not up to date with today's graphics, of course, but story's pretty good so far. I never beat the game, so I'm playing it pretty much for the first time right now, and it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it. It seems as though it's a pretty good mix between like Final Fantasy VII and I would say maybe Final Fantasy X story-wise, because they're two of like the really, really good stories that I can think of from Final Fantasy, and it's really good, and it's pretty cheap. It's only like $20, so you get hours of entertainment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What console or PC? What did you buy it for?
I bought it for the PS4. So.
Oh, nice.
I'm surprised you didn't buy
Is
it
it
for
a
the
PS4
Switch.
exclusive?
No. It's available on everything, I think. So
then yeah, I'm with Tud. I'm surprised you didn't buy it for the Switch.
I don't use the Switch for its portability as much as Tud does. So
that's all I use it for is the portability.
Yeah, I know. Well, you travel a lot. I really don't. So, but I definitely have been enjoying. I've only played a few hours so far, but I'm really enjoying it so far. So if you're a fan of Final Fantasy, turn-based role-playing games and, a good story, you should go check it out.
Now, is this
only $20?
Is this the one where they have like a ship that they travel around on?
If there is, I haven't made it there yet, but but I mean, there's Final Fantasy games have like ships in like almost every single one that I can think of. So like Final Fantasy VII has a ship and Final Fantasy X has a ship, and there's a lot of ships. So
boat fantasies, basically.
Yeah, all the fantasies. New fantasy, old fantasy. But really cool game. It's a long overdue remaster, I think. I think it's been out for like 20 years now. So if you're into that kind of stuff, go check it out.
Yeah, fun fact about that game, the reason it took so long for a remaster to come out, Square Enix lost the source code. so they had to have somebody remake it from scratch.
Oh,
Whoa.
really?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, completely. Like the source code got wiped off a computer one day, and they were like, "Oh shit, we don't have it."
Uh-oh. Big whoopsie.
That's a cool story, though.
Someone at Square Enix headquarters is like, Final Fantasy VIII source code, this probably isn't useful anymore. I gotta clear up some...
Yeah, I need some more space on my hard drive.
Yes, somebody got fired for that mishap, I'm assuming.
Yeah, well. Oh, well. Sorry for whoever that was. But Obert, I think you get the third handle on this week's Mug of Wisdom.
Yeah, let me top this baby off here. So I thought of this handle on my drive home to record this podcast today. And maybe this is a Montana-specific handle for our Montana listeners, but I think it can be applied more generally to everybody. And my handle is much more of a life advice handle than typical, but it's go find a new place, go exploring off the map. I went this weekend to a lake I'd never been to. I'd seen it on the map. I've never had any reason to go there. Drove there and I'm like, wow, this like expanded my Montana horizons, like for a new place that I'd never been before. It's like there's so much world out there, guys. You got to go and check it out yourself. So even if you're somebody who lives in Connecticut, maybe who think they've seen everything, I thought the same thing until I went over to like the Kent or northwest corner, Kent Falls area of Connecticut. Where
that's like an entirely different planet.
It's like it doesn't even feel like Connecticut. And Chris, you live in a new state, North Carolina. There's like tons of open places to go explore. And I'm sure our listeners are thinking of like, oh, there's a place I've always wanted to go. That's, a day drive from my house. I never made it out there. Make time to go do it, especially as fall's coming up, summer's winding down. It's like a good time to go out and see a place you've never been before. So my handle this week is like, make the time, go to a new place, expand your map, expand your horizon. A little more philosophical than I normally get into with my handles, but it meant a lot to me checking out this new place, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So cheers to that.
We've definitely talked about, myself and Dana, we've definitely talked about like trying to get out and like do travel and stuff like that, because we've lived in 3 states now, but still there's 47 that we haven't seen, and realistically there's like 48 we haven't seen. So I can back that one up. There's a lot of places I want to go, even in the United States, and I can't wait to, be able to share that with CJ and whatever other babies we have and stuff like that. So, definitely, I feel that handle. I feel it.
Yeah. I also think it's one of those things like, yeah, sure, it's not super easy to travel with a little kid, but I think it's something if you expose kids to early, they'll like really latch onto in terms of like, I didn't go too many places growing up, but I think it's something that talking to friends who've, traveled with their parents and saw the whole country, I feel like it's really a good experience to have. So even if you are someone who might have kids and think it's a little harder to travel with, I think it's even more worth it though.
And so with that, we'd like to thank you guys for listening to today's episode of Drinking Alone with Friends. Let's thank the breweries and or the people who provided today's alcohol. And I will go first with Breakaway Brewhouse with the new one, number 17, Raspberry Wheat Ale.
I'd like to thank Brahmari Brewing with their Skull Kill the Bloodbringer.
And I want to thank Montgomery Distillery for their White Lady gin. Delicious addition to this Negroni today.
Please follow us on all social media at DAWF Podcast. Also, make sure you hashtag follow the email at dawfpodcast@gmail.com. Please send your thoughts or general conversation pieces to that email. Obert loves to read them every single day when he wakes up. So make sure, let's make a goal this week, people. I want a new email every week or every day. I want a new email every day for Obert to read.
Every hour.
You're listening to this on Thursday. And I just want you to say, like, you would make my day if I'm sitting there having my morning coffee, just reading your general thoughts on Friday.
Correct. Literally, like I woke up today and like my butt scratched. Like that's what we want. We like send that in.
Butt scratched? That's
yeah.
I would read about that.
There you go.
I read about your butt scratched and stuff.
The amazing butt scratch.
Make sure that you're going to Patreon and subscribing. We have some new content up there, so make sure you're going on there and listening to that as well. Also, make sure you're using our Amazon affiliate link. And in the spirit of using our Amazon affiliate link, I would like to point out another really expensive item you can buy from us and give us money via Amazon. And so that today is going to be a 1824 officer's sword, which is an early piece of American history. This awesome 1824 officer's sword is going for a smooth price of $39,995 on Amazon.
What a steal.
Yeah, it's a steal. I mean, who doesn't want to
Yeah.
own a piece of American history?
Yeah, and that's from the Civil War.
It is from the Civil War.
I mean, buy two while you're at it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you might as well
Might
as well buy 4 so you can have just a full-on war with
Yeah.
yourself.
There you go. There you go.
And actually, I wanted to interject real quick before sorry to cut you off here, Ted, but I know there's been a little bit of confusion as to like how the Amazon affiliate link works. All you have to do, it's very simple. Just if you're going to do your normal Amazon shopping, if you're like, oh, I need my butt scratcher, and I'm all out of them, you just, before you go to Amazon.com and search for butt scratchers,
Butt scratcher!
just click on our link, and that'll bring you right to the normal Amazon page, and then just search from there. And then whenever you buy whatever you buy, we will get a little chunk of that, and that helps the show out. So I know we haven't really explained that fully in the past, so that's how it works. It's really just like going to Amazon.com. It's just we have a special link. So
I couldn't have said it any better myself. And so with that, my name is Tud.
My name's Chris.
And I'm Obert. And remember, if you're drinking alone, do it with friends.
So, like, are we all going to buy these swords so, like, we can fight next time we see each other?
I think so. Unless they have, like, did you find any good butt scratchers I can find? Because my butt's kind of itchy right now.
Well, I mean, I can't because you can't. I wouldn't benefit from it, so it's only fair that you two buy it.